Hey, Myles.
Yeah, Cam?
Have you ever heard of Carmen Sandiego?
Yes, I have heard of Carmen Sandiego. I've only grown up with Carmen Sandiego.
But have you seen the new Netflix Carmen Sandiego?
What? When are we gonna stop redoing the good stuff and start redoing the stuff that was poorly done with a good idea?
I don't know.
Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Hello, people of the internet, and welcome back to Inconceivable Media. I'm Cam.
And I'm Myles.
And this week, I introduce Myles to the latest installment in the Carmen Sandiego franchise, Carmen Sandiego, the Netflix series that first came to us in 2019 and was brought to us thanks to publishers Houghton Mifflin Harcourt, I hope I'm saying that correctly, and Wildbrain Studios as the animation studio. That's a bit of a mouthful, but there's going to be quite a few mouthfuls as we get into this. This series is very much a love letter to Carmen Sandiego in everything that it is. That was a staple in many children's houses, whether through one of the earlier TV shows, as we alluded to in the intro, or the many games that continue to come out even in the 2020s. That, of course, means that there are actually a lot of callbacks to earlier entries in this series. So like I said, huge love letter to everything, even down to using legacy characters from all over the place. Now, we're going to get to that, but of course, the first important question, Myles, is, are you enjoying it so far?
For the most part, yes. However, there is something I'm not enjoying. I'm not a big fan of that Boston accent that they always use.
No? Well, that's too bad, because unfortunately those two characters are going to be there in every episode. But is that taking you out of the show entirely?
Every now and then it does, but it's just a personal gripe with that accent.
Okay, what about the rest of the show then?
I agree that it is an amazing love letter to Carmen Sandiego. If you don't know anything about Carmen Sandiego, you should still check it out. And for those of you who do have any connection to the woman cloaked in red, you would probably love this show as much as I do.
So that's a recommendation from you then, right?
Yes, but only if they have children.
Only if, what do you mean, only if they have What? What do you mean by that, Myles?
I like my shows, if they're kid shows, to have some depth to them, like She-Ra and Centaur World, Over the Garden Wall, Red Wall, but this one doesn't seem to have anything like that. So I don't know.
I think that's just something that we're gonna have to agree to disagree on, Myles. But maybe we'll do that while the music's playing for the break, because we're going to go away and then we're going to come back to dive into the first 4 episodes of season 1 of Carmen Sandiego. Okay, welcome back, and we're just going to dive right into, like I said, the first 4 episodes of Season 1 of Carmen Sandiego. Now, right off the top, we are in a very different world from what has come before, because Carmen is now the focal character, and she's actively working against Vile, as opposed to working for them, or being in charge of them, or, just being affiliated with them in some form.
Well, let's be honest with each other here, Cameron. She was raised by the people in Vile. She was taken there. So if you ask me, she could still be working for them without realizing it. Or what I think is happening is she's been heavily influenced by one of the members of Vile who's sick and tired of being the bad guy. Or girl. Or whatever.
Right.
And kind of possibly subconsciously told and taught her how to be better while she's still kind of a villain.
I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. So you're saying, despite the fact that she's turned away from Vile so far, that she still might not necessarily be an entirely good person, despite the whole Robin Hood thing that she's got going on, right?
Possibly. I mean, if you want to get super meta about this, this could be just the way she portrays herself.
Ah,
You know,
I see.
we're seeing everything through her eyes,
Mhm.
and therefore this is the story from her point of view. And of course, from her point of view, she's the good guy. She's going after the big daddy, even though she is embezzling money to live and travel all over the place.
Yes, that is a very, very good point, especially since she's not exactly jetting around the world going coach.
As far as we know.
Well, so
And even if you are jetting around the world doing as much as she does, going as far as she has, that's still not good for anybody.
well, and I mean, that's not exactly something that you can just do on the cheap either, even if you are just slumming it in coach.
Yeah.
Not even in economy plus.
Like, just the passports alone, seriously.
Yeah, that's very true.
Being a criminal's not cheap, my friend. You gotta pay good money to keep your identity hidden.
Well, on that note, I may as well just kind of dive into talking more about the who's who of Carmen Sandiego. So, I mean, we'll start right at the top with Carmen Sandiego, or also known as Black Sheep from the Vile people. She's voiced by Gina Rodriguez, who I think most people know because she was Jane the Virgin.
And she's also in Annihilation.
Oh, she is?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That I haven't. I haven't really done too much with that yet, so I wouldn't have really noticed that. To be honest, this is actually the first thing that I've watched that I actually specifically know her as, because I never watched Jane the Virgin. I know about it because lots of people talked about it, but it wasn't my thing, so I didn't watch it. But whatever, that's something else. So she's Carmen Sandiego. She is the woman in red and everything that entails, but that's not necessarily the start. Again, this is very different from anything that has ever happened with Carmen Sandiego, because we actually get to see kind of how she grows up. In pretty much every iteration of this, Carmen Sandiego is just the head of Vile or whatever, and you have to go and stop her. Maybe every so often they might have some little teensy teases for a backstory or something, but nope, right here. She comes to Vile Island as baby, and she's raised on the Isle of Vile, and then she finds a way to escape, and she decides that she doesn't want to do evil anymore and work against them.
I think she made that up before she left, though.
I mean, that is a very good point, and we would probably say that we could thank that to one of the other people, but we'll get to them in a second. So,
actually, this starts to make sense now. She's being rebellious.
Well, I mean, she is. I think she's only like 17 or 18 or something when she leaves the island. But I can't remember exactly.
Same reason why Christianity came to be a thing, because what would Dad think?
Oh, jeez. Okay, moving on from her and kind of going through the other people, we may as well stick with the Vile people for the moment. So we've got the main faculty, so starting with Professor Gunnar Maelstrom, who's voiced by Liam O'Brien, which is another familiar name for a lot of people for voice acting and whatnot.
Isn't he Vex in Vox Machina?
In what now?
Vex in Vox Machina.
What's Vox Machina?
Okay, we're going to have to do another episode here.
Okay. Yeah.
Put it to the list.
Will do. But I guess there you go. I guess he must be another main character. So Professor Maelstrom is, I guess we could say he's the mastermind of this. Like his skill set seems to be everything that has to do with planning to make sure that everything goes over well. So he's the planning guy, not necessarily the tech person. That's somebody else. We also have Coach Brunt, who's voiced by Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, and she is absolutely the muscle. She's the one who teaches them how to fight and how to get around the way they do. But she also seems to have a soft spot for Carmen, and she always looks after her.
I'd say her stomach's kind of a soft spot.
How can you say that, considering that she's like built like a?
She's built like a sumo wrestler.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call those guys soft.
They look soft. Look, that's important.
Yes, look is important. Then we also, although speaking of looks, then we also have Countess Cleo, who is voiced by, oh boy, I'm going to butcher this, and I apologize, Tox Olagundoya. It's Nigerian. I'm trying my best here.
You probably did a better job than I would have.
Fair enough. So she is the fashionista, and so she's the one who's all about, dress for success and everything like that, accessorize, those sorts of things. And also, she really likes pretty things. So as the series goes on, anytime Carmen has to go and steal back a piece of art or something like that, or disturb some kind of like an auction or something like that, it's probably Cleo that she's going to be messing with. And then the last of the main vile people we have is Dr. Sarah Bellum, who's voiced by Sharon Mutu. And right here, we've got our first real introduction of something that Carmen Sandiego is known for, and I know it's something that you love, Myles.
It's not that I love it. It's more of the fact that, it's part of my nature. I mean, my last name is Whitford.
Yep, very true, very true. And
consider that part of the punishment.
Yes, I will. I very much will, because I have a feeling that I'm going to have to tolerate a whole lot of that for this episode. More so than other episodes. So yeah, Sarah Bellum is the tinkerer. She's the one who builds all of the different devices and things like that everybody uses. And while she's also the tech person, she also is easily distracted. She also seems to get easily distracted by lolcats and other meme things. So these are the people that effectively raised Carmen, because as we learn through the first 2 episodes, Vile is a school. So people come in, they get trained, and then they leave. I don't necessarily know if they always leave fully intact, because I get the feeling that if you don't actually pass to become an agent, you probably just vanish in a way. I mean, this is a kid's show, but come on, let's be real here. If people don't know who they are or what they're about, it's probably because those who don't make it.
It's true, but at the same time, everybody who seemed to join them seems to know about them pretty well. So perhaps they're like a rumored agency, sort of like a myth.
That's so you mean it might be sort of like Men in Black kind of thing. There might be rumors of people, disappearing or whatever, and so the people that want to find it, they know where to look, right?
Eventually they'll
find it. And then
they
might find it, or again, they might get disappeared in a way. Whether that means that they just get their memory blanked, or whether that means that they...
To be fair, no matter what happens, they disappear, because when you become a Men in Black, you are no longer a person.
That is true too. So, but still, I completely forgot that there's another person on the faculty, although I think it makes sense because both he and Carmen absolutely despise each other, and that's Shadow-san, who is voiced by Paul Nakauchi, who is the one who teaches them basically all of their thieving skills. And he's the one who deliberately sabotages her.
It's true, but they're missing the most important person to teach them everything.
Oh?
They need a bureaucrat for the good old white collar crimes. They don't have one. I want to see Keith from the Canadian Aboriginal Affairs.
Oh,
big man who barely moves from his chair and says, "Okay, everybody, I'm going to teach you how to slowly drain bank accounts."
Oh, man.
God. Good old white collar crime.
I mean, I suppose, unless you were to say that maybe that's more Maelstrom's department, in addition to the thinking and the planning and whatnot, perhaps he is more of the bureaucrat of them. I mean, because otherwise, he doesn't necessarily have a specific talent, or that's not what I mean. Focus,
He has all the focus.
because he's
He's the
planning
planner.
everything. Fair enough. But
Like who's the one teaching them how to get all their passports and that? Would that be him?
I feel that is entirely possible. Because again, we don't really see anybody else. But the thing with the faculty members is that they have their own things that they focus on.
They probably do have a guy that does that,
but we don't know because
it's too real.
Yeah,
they don't want to show us. This is
yeah.
just a kids show. They don't want to get that real.
So they don't want to actually show you Bob the bureaucrat, who is just there and is just like, okay, everyone, when you do this, make sure that you do that, and you got to fill out all these forms and blah 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 blah. Don't worry, we'll do most of the busy work for you, but you got to do this and you got to do that. Because otherwise, how the heck else are we going to find you when you screw up? And then we have to send the cleaners to collect you. So anyway, these 5 people are the ones that have raised her entire life. But the interesting thing with Carmen is that she's still very much an enigma, at least at this point, because even Carmen is not her actual name. She ends up like choosing that after she leaves, and they always refer to her as Black Sheep.
I mean, that kind of makes sense because before she was given a name, I'd kind of consider her more of a pet than a person.
That's it's a good point. And yes, that is definitely something that we need to tackle, but we also need to tackle everyone else who is in this show. So, when Carmen gets out, actually even before, when she is just kind of messing around as a teen, she somehow is able to get a cell phone, and then she is contacted by someone who uses their handle Player, in another nice callback to everything as far as Carmen Sandiego is concerned. There's always a player who's always ordering the agents around and everything like that. And in this case, Player happens to be a plucky little teenage hacker from Ontario. How nice of him. How nice of us Canadians, huh?
So does he know about the black flies then?
Probably. I mean, he's in Ontario.
Maybe he knows the log driver waltz. I don't know. I don't think he's an actual Canadian, to be honest.
What?
Because
What?
whenever you look at the subtitles, he doesn't spell color with a U or favorite with a U. On top of that, there isn't a single boot there, so...
It's kind of funny that you say that. I mean, because he's voiced by Finn Wolfhard, who is proudly Canadian, although I feel like he's known more for probably his actual acting stuff. Because wasn't he in Stranger Things?
Yeah, but they weren't that strange. And we know what the things are.
Jeez. Oh, God. So, Player is the person that originally kind of teams up with Carmen, or she teams up with him once she gets off of Vile. But then along the way, she comes along and she starts working with a brother and a sister who are named Zach and Ivy. Another nice legacy from the cartoon series from the 90s that we grew up watching. They're siblings again, although in this case, they are not Acme agents or Acme detectives like they were back then. In this case, Zach and Ivy are just 2 struggling brother and sister from Boston. And that right there, I guess, is, what you were saying before. Is it, you don't like their accents, right?
I'm not a fan of the Boston accent. It was wrecked for me way back when my friends used to always watch Sailor Moon, and her best friend had that super annoying accent. The way she would always be trying to like talk and like butt her way into everything. Oh,
Oh,
it's traumatic.
that's beautiful. I mean, I understand because oh my god. Oh man, I'm remembering that accent too. Oh, that accent is like notorious when it comes to dubs. Not in a good way. Not in a good way. But interesting thing about the case here is that Ivy is voiced by Abby Trott, and Abby Trott is from Attleboro, Massachusetts, which is probably like an hour and a half drive away from Boston. So she's probably got a relatively authentic accent, especially compared to Michael Hawley, who voices Zach, who is an English voice actor. And I mean, he's not really affiliated with Boston anymore, or kind of hasn't been for the past, I don't know, 270 some years or something like that.
Yeah, it's probably why I don't like her accent as much as his. Or more. Yeah, it's probably why I'm more irritated by her accent than his. It's because hers is a little more authentic. I mean, like, he does a good job with it, but her accent,
I have a feeling
harsh.
that this probably comes down more to just the intonation of the actors themselves. So just if someone has a harsher voice or even kind of like a more shrilly voice or something like that, that probably has a large impact on it. Because I can understand what you mean by how, despite the fact that maybe someone doesn't have as thick an accent or something like that, their voice might still just be like, doesn't matter what accent they're putting on. I can't do this.
Possibly. I mean, I know what I don't like, and I don't know why it's hers I don't like.
Fair enough. You know, we don't need to dwell on that. And of course, this wouldn't be Carmen Sandiego if we didn't also have Acme. And in a surprisingly slight change for something in the series, Acme now actually stands for something. Instead of it just being the Acme Detective Agency, it now stands for the Agency to Classify and Monitor Evildoers, which I suppose also goes along with VILE, standing for Villains International League of Evil. Great. We got to have the people that counteract the evil, huh?
But now we're going to need a group of people to counteract those who are counteracting the evil.
Well, and in a way, we are kind of there. So we don't really get introduced to Acme immediately. I mean, there are various people that are after Carmen, but we don't get told that it's Acme specifically until the episode that we just finished, episode 4.
And he chose the worst man for the job.
Well, I wouldn't say so. I mean, so you're talking about how we've got agents Chase Deveneaux and Julia Argent, who are both Interpol agents, who are it looks like they're being recruited by Acme, where we leave off.
Yeah, well, Julia stands a good chance to be able to do something.
Because she's actually good?
She's competent. She's
Yep.
very competent. Very, very competent.
Whereas Chase
he's always going to be chasing.
It's right there. It's right there in the name. Inspector Deveneaux is voiced by Raphael Petardi, and Agent Argent is voiced by Charlotte Chung. And so when they are recruited by Acme, we are introduced to the Chief, bringing back, again, a nice staple of the series, this time portrayed by Dawn Lewis. So she appears by hologram as a nice reference back to how the Chief always appeared as a holographic head in the cartoon series from the 90s. But her actual appearance and the performance that Dawn Lewis does is much more familiar to anyone who would have watched the PBS game shows where Lynn Thigpen was the Chief. What's your familiarity with like Carmen Sandiego as a series? So you watched the cartoon.
Watched the cartoon, played
Yeah.
some of the geographical games, one of the math games.
Ah.
The cartoon series, I said the cartoon series.
Yeah.
The game show series.
So you
and the board game, and there was one other thing.
So you did watch like the one that actually was like live and had kids and they had to answer questions and things like that. So
That's generally how a game show goes, Cameron.
Yes, I know, but you know who I'm talking about then when I'm talking about Lynn Thigpen's The Chief, right?
Oh, absolutely
Yes.
not.
Oh,
It's been so long since I've seen it, so I have no. Like I remember the chief, but I don't remember what she looks like.
Okay,
or
all
anything
right,
about her.
okay.
That was a long time ago.
Fair enough. I mean, that is the reason why I ask, is because I'm curious, because I didn't watch it a whole lot. Actually, I don't think I watched it at all until I was maybe a teenager or an adult. And that was because thanks to YouTube introducing me to stuff for Carmen Sandiego that was older than I was born. So then I got to find out about it, and it just kind of stuck with me as kind of like, wow, that is actually iconic in a way. But if you don't remember, that's okay. I just wanted to ask. So that, I'd say probably we've gone through pretty much all the main people. I think that's all the important people. But I think
just kind of thought that. What about Zach and Ivy? I mean, it's kind of weird that she has them, but I have an idea of why she keeps them around to help her.
You mean besides the fact that she needs help?
Yes, but why she chose them specifically?
Okay, but what's that?
They're both redheads. She's got a thing for red, so
that checks out. That absolutely does check out. But I mean,
let's be honest. They're definitely not as good as her. I would argue that they're not even as good as the people that they're up against.
I don't know. I feel like they definitely can go toe to toe with the vile agents that seem to always go after them. But I mean, of course, they're not as good as Carmen because that's her thing. Carmen Sandiego is always better than everyone else. That's why she's the final person that you get at the end of the games and things like that.
But yet she's not Acme. Because Acme is the best of the best.
Well, that's true.
Oh no, did she get recruited by Acme?
I can't answer that. We're only 4 episodes in. we haven't even seen Chase and Julia officially get recruited. They've only been approached. That actually reminds me. There are some more important people that we need to talk about, which are the Vile Agents, as I had mentioned. So at this point, we are only basically dealing with the people that she trained with. So we've got Tigress, who's voiced by Carrie Walgren, who is another veteran voice actress. El Topo and Le Chèvre, voiced by Andrew Pifko and Bernardo de Paula. And then we have Mime Bomb, who does not have a VA because he's a mime.
I still think they should have put somebody in there. In fact, they probably should have put somebody in there who is
who is actually a mime.
No, somebody who is a mute.
Ah,
because let's be honest here. Sure, mimes don't talk. That's fine. They don't talk. If they do something that's strenuous, they might still huff and puff. If they fall, they might go ah. They might not say anything, but they might still do vocal things.
That's a very good point. However,
yes, my point is great.
But I'm just kind of going with what they had on Wikipedia, which is the fact that he has no credited actor, which of course means that they, even at points where he might, get physical or anything like that, he makes no noise. I'm going to assume, because again, that's something that you could have done. And I know that that has been done in the past, like in video games and things like that. Even if your character never speaks, they still make noise. And someone still had to actually voice the character to make those noises. Anyways, and last, but certainly not least, we have Crackle, who's voiced by Michael Goldsmith.
So we've got Crackle, but where's Snap and Pop?
Not here right now. Maybe they might bring a Snap or a Pop in, because as of the end of episode 2, Crackle is being decommissioned as a Vile Agent.
Oh, so he's the one that snaps.
You know what? I like that. I again, I can't necessarily say anything about whether he's necessarily going to come back or something like that. But if he does, that works.
Well, technically, wasn't he also Australian?
He is, yes.
So we wouldn't have a pop, we'd have a hop.
Because of the kangaroos, right?
You betcha.
Ah, God, of course you'd say that. Okay, I think we need to get out of this because, oh man, I think this is just going to... this is killing me slowly. Okay, now we finally got through all of the main people, so we can get on to talking about actual stuff within the show. So let's start with something that you have brought up quite a few times. So Carmen was found as a baby via Vile agent and then brought to the Isle of Vile to just...
we can just call that the Violent.
Okay, so she was brought to the Violent, but she just has to live there, I guess. But you had said something earlier about her being a pet. So what did you mean by that?
Well, the way everybody treats her, she's more of a puppy. Like, you're not supposed to be here. Get back to where you are. Or like, oh, good girl, here's a treat. Or, you're being obnoxious and annoying everybody. It's not so much that they show them really raising her. So I would say on the Violent, she is a puppy.
Although that is a very good point, because when she's recalling her story, when she's sitting down with Crackle on the train, she says that she wasn't specifically raised by the people in the faculty. They kept bringing in different governesses and people to look after her who were all from different cultures, and that's why she is as worldly as she is, despite the fact that she's been on some uncharted island for her whole life.
So this actually plays to it even more, because what I would call those people, just like Toph would, they'd be handlers.
Yep. Obedience trainers, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, man. So, I mean, it kind of, so she's a fixture on the island in a way, right?
Yeah, she's kind of like a fish. I mean, like, with a fish, you can see that they're there to kind of move around, do their thing, but...
That's it.
Yeah, it's not like they pet her or play with her or anything.
That's true. It seems that the only person who really does that is Coach Brunt. Pretty much nobody else... Well, okay. So
Coach Brunt is her legal caretaker.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense of... She's the one that kind of like keeps her from getting bullied or like really severely picked on. She's probably also a little bit of her enforcer, doing the things, hey, you're not supposed to be doing this. Don't do that.
Right.
This is an off-limits zone. Wait, this is reminding me. They said CrimeNet. That was Acme, wasn't it?
Yes. Yes,
so,
it is.
It is canon now that the Payday Gang works with Acme.
Oh my God. Well, that's weird, considering the whole deal with them is that they're all criminals. You're cooking meth and things like that.
To be fair, it's the perfect disguise. If you are a criminal, everybody's going to go, oh, they're criminals. We can trust them because we're criminals. Secretly, they've been playing the long con. And I mean, it only makes more and more sense since Bane becomes the president.
Yeah, right. Oh God! Now we found another link into making another larger world. So now Payday and Carmen Sandiego are connected, right?
This is what you're trying to show me, Cameron. See, I'm catching on pretty quick.
You know what? Considering how they dress, I would absolutely buy a DLC character that is Carmen Sandiego. It would be really weird because now you're running around with guns and shooting people up. But
they're not people, Cameron. We've been over this. They're just clones. They don't have souls. GenSec is genetic security. They make the clones and they send them out, and that's why they're so incompetent.
I mean, I don't know. I don't see Carmen as being someone that would really get her hands dirty in that way. I think that she's too good of a person.
You know what? Player's Bane.
Okay.
I get it. It all makes sense now.
I guess so.
just to get ourselves back on track here.
Well, what I was just saying about how Carmen is good, right?
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of weird to me that she is how good she is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in terms of alignment. Like, she's been surrounded by people who are...
Not good people.
She's been surrounded by people who are, like... I mean, let's face it. Evil.
Mm-hmm.
They want to steal. They want to rob. Maybe murder. That might be on the table. It might not. It's probably in the desk or in the filing cabinet. It's not on the table.
Again, I feel like this is probably something that does happen. They just don't talk about it because it's a kid's show.
Yeah. So that's another department that they left out. But like I would have honestly believed she would have been more like she's more good than Andy Larkin.
I thought Andy Larkin was a good person too. He's not cruel in his pranks necessarily. I mean, there are certain
kidding me?
Okay, I mean, come on.
When was the last
It's
time
not...
you've seen this show, man?
Well, from what I remember, usually, unless it's people that, you know, have slighted him in a way. I mean, it's one thing when it's his sister because it's his sister. But there are plenty of other times where when something is about to go bad or he realizes that, oh no, this person does not deserve what I'm about to do to them, he will still go through with the prank, but he will try to find a way to not have it blow up on that person as much as it would have. So he's not like evil. You know, he's like neutral evil. You can kind of reel back a little bit.
I don't know. I feel like Carmen Sandiego should be way worse than that because she's been surrounded by evil people all the time.
Well, that's a good...
I mean, like, it's kind of in their thing to, like, take from each other and that.
Yeah, that's true.
So, like, property is meant to be taken, not had.
That is true.
Like, it's real goblin brain out there.
Well, on that note, do you have any theories about who would have been the one that brought her to the island? So, I mean, she thinks it's Coach Brunt, and that could be true. We don't know. We're only 4 episodes in. That's not something that you're just going to reveal this early in the show. But it could be someone else who's in the faculty, or it could be someone... It could be someone who doesn't show up until like season 3 or something. I don't know.
Obviously, it was Bane. Or Player. Who is Bane? He's just using a voice modulator.
Well, we do have holographic technology in this world. So
exactly.
Even when we go back and see him as clearly a teenager in his room, that's just, you know, wheels within wheels, right?
Exactly. It's just another layer of defense. But in all due reality, I think that the person that did bring her to the island was probably Cookie Booker.
Yeah?
Yes, because that name just rhymes too well. That, and I mean, she does come to the island every year.
That's true.
And she did kind of help her leave because we never actually saw Carmen knock her out, hog tie her,
and all
throw
that
her
stuff.
in the thing. So she could have been like, oh, I know what you're doing. Good on you. And then helped her out with all that and just played the dumb thing.
I feel like that wouldn't be too bad of a way to go. I mean, again, I can't say yes or no to any of this because I can't give this stuff away. But that would actually be really cool if they did, considering the fact that Cookie Booker is voiced by Rita Moreno, who was the same person who voiced Carmen Sandiego in the 90s cartoon.
Oh, you see, they're just passing down the cloak.
I mean,
the trench coat.
Yeah, and the fedora and everything. It's perfect, right? If that is the case, I think that would actually be pretty cool. Like in the sense of she's the reason why she's there. Thematically appropriate, but you know, we can theorize all we want about that, but there are more important things that we can talk about with this. So, what do you think about the animation style?
Oh, I love the sharp, crisp edges. It's very nice, clean.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, it really makes me want to buy vehicle insurance.
Why? Why vehicle insurance?
I don't know. I can't give you any assurance why.
Miles. Why did I set you up for that? Jeez. So you like the animation style. It's all nice, crisp, and clean and everything, right?
It is, but I do find that it is a little too clean. Like, if you look around, there is no garbage anywhere. Like, anywhere. I don't even think they have garbage in... I don't even know if I've seen garbage cans. So I have to ask the question, how evil is this Vile world? Because if Vile's actually there and it's this clean, maybe it's not all that evil. Or, another case, it could be like Mirror's Edge.
Wow, that's another deep cut.
Oh, very much so.
I'll
let you reflect on that.
I like that thinking on that one though. For thinking about Mirror's Edge. So one other, I guess another cool thing about this for keeping it in, the edutainment area is that we always get to learn something new about the place where we're going on our caper. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's kind of... It's what Carmen Sandiego is known for.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, they have to keep it and include it. Which, it is kind of nice to, like, kind of teach kids around what the world is like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be honest here. This show is kind of aimed towards people who's, when they're kids, probably won't be able to get out and do as much exploration. So they can kind of learn a little bit about the cultures and that around the world.
That's
and
true.
They might even see a culture that they come from.
That is very true.
I was completely left out of this so far, so I hope eventually they will come find me. I mean, I'm a little bit everywhere, but I don't know. I don't know if Vile would go after some like ancient bone arrow from the Cree Nation. But I mean, the Norse were pretty big ransackers, so I'm sure that'll come up eventually.
I mean, it's not like that's not something that we wouldn't do, considering the fact that just in the 4th episode, where they're in Ecuador, and the doubloon that they go after, they outright state many times that it has no real monetary value. It's highly valuable as a cultural artifact. And then Maelstrom's just like, yep. And I'm gonna, just kind of shit all over that by melting it down into a pair of cufflinks. Because I'm evil.
That's the kind of evil I want to see in my villains.
Just do absolute petty stuff,
just
right?
Just putting it right there.
Yep. Just absolutely, just lay it all down there. It's just absolutely the most pettiest stuff you can ever get away with. And what's even better, just puns everywhere, right?
Oh, yes.
You just can't get away from that.
I did like that when they went to Indonesia and we found out that it wasn't that hard to get to because they didn't have all the bone to get through.
All the what?
The bone. Indonesia.
Huh? Okay, that oh man, that one took me a bit. I like that one. That's good. I like that one. I'm not groaning too much of that one because I think that one's actually kind of clever. Still silly, of course, but
all my puns are clever.
I think that's debatable.
They're just different degrees of how soon you get it.
That is definitely true. I mean, at some point, I almost wonder if we're some point just going to get a whole bunch of hate mail coming towards us that is either stop the puns or let the puns go and stop being mean to Myles because he keeps punning all the time.
Don't worry, it's very punitive.
I mean, it could be. It depends on which way we want to go with it. So, you definitely want to keep watching this, right?
I'll keep going, but I don't know how long I can take this with that boxing accent. Maybe if you can get really good on the mute.
Ouch.
It's painful. It's very painful. And it's not the voice actor's fault. I'm going to say that. It was one damn show and it just ruined the whole thing for me.
No, which voice actor's fault? Are you referring to back in Sailor Moon or are you talking about now in Carmen Sandiego?
Yes.
Okay.
Keep it vague so nobody can get mad.
Fair enough. I mean, I don't know. I think that you'd probably get a kick out of this as we keep going. I mean, come on, we got to finish. We're pretty much halfway through, so we got to at least get to the end of season 1.
I will do my best.
Okay, I'll say I will spoil a little bit in terms of how much character is there.
You might as well not.
No. I just mean in the sense that Ivy is around, yes, but I would say that she's not as bad because she's not there all the time as much in the first season. If we get past the first season and get into the second season, things might get a little bit more complicated there because there's a lot of time spent just with Carmen and her crew.
Fair enough.
For plot reasons that will come up as we get to the end of the first season.
Well, it's good that you're sowing those seeds.
I mean, I got to do something to keep you interested, right? I got to grow this, right?
Exactly.
No.
Hopefully it
That's
won't
not what
grow
I mean.
too
No.
much.
I gotta cultivate. I need to cultivate. That's more accurate. It's not just growing. There's more to it than that.
Look at that. I got you now.
If you can't beat them, you gotta join them. Or fight fire with fire. I don't know. All sorts of things.
Exactly.
Well, I think that'll about do it for this time. And yeah, we will.
We'll have to come back to this hot topic.
Yes. Are you saying that something about how they dress now? You got a problem with how they dress?
Lots of red, and also you're fighting fire with fire.
Yep. Yep. I would not go to Hot Topic to buy anything like that though, because that's way too damn expensive. Anyways, we'll catch you the next time.
I'm Myles.
And I'm Cam.
We'll see you soon.
See ya.